I'd like to start with a question. And you are open to talk with your neighbor, please. I'd like you to discuss with your friend beside you. My question is, what is the household activity that you like the most? What is the one that you do not like? Please take a moment to reflect and you can share your thoughts, okay? I'll give you 2 minutes about that. As time is there. Okay, I think you have time to discuss what you like and you dislike, okay? I would like to hear from you, okay? Some examples here. Let's see, let's start with you. What do you like, household?
Steaming the floor.
Steaming the floor, that's nice. What about wiping the floor?
No, we steam it because we have time.
What about you? What do you don't like?
I don't. The dishes.
You don't like to? There's a dishwasher out there.
Yes.
What? Really? What do you like?
I like organization.
Organizing things? Let's see. Who's the kids? Natalie, what do you like?
I like dinner time. I like cooking.
Cooking. What do you don't like?
I don't like the arguing in my house.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yes, but that's not a household activity. Unless it's also okay, it's an activity. Okay. I would like to start with this, what's going to show up here. Have you made your bed today? No. Yes. No. It's my favorite activity. So the first thing that I wake up, boom, I make my bed. Why? Because I mess it up, right? So, if you want to change the world, start making your bed. Among the small household activities, making the bed is the first one to do. Why? Because you mess it up. If you accomplish this small task, it will give you a small feeling of pride and courage to accomplish others that may come throughout the day. And at the end of the day, it will give you a nice feeling that you are important to someone. This is my introduction that I just gave here. It's from the speech of the U.S. Navy Admiral William McRaven. It's to relate my message to the scriptures that I'm based on today. Among all books in the Bible, the book of James is my favorite, followed by Romans and the Gospels. The reason is not because it's a short book with only 5 chapters, but it resembles myself in each verse. I'll try to show some points how James and Paul diverge in thoughts between faith and work. In the book of James, James tries to show the connection between faith and work and how they complete each other. Whereas in Romans, Paul explains that faith in Christ can move mountains, and through Christ's example, you will be glorified in heaven by God. In James 2:18 says, "You have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I by my works will show you my faith." What does this mean? For James, his attitude, love, and devotion to his brothers and sisters implies his faith in Christ and obedience to the law. On the other hand, Romans 10:9 says, "Because if you confess with your lips that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." This message highlights that through faith you will be saved. Based on these 2 examples, I personally believe that work and actions speak more than faith. When I was young, I was introduced to Jesus and the commandments. However, I did not have the habit to pray before bed or when I woke up. Nonetheless, I was taught to act instead. I came from a middle-class family with its root in the countryside. So this is why I love West Virginia. Farmers. My whole family are farmers. Consequently, humble people and hard workers. My mom in 1999, I don't know if you were born. Were you born 1999? No, okay. Long time ago. Not for you. You remember 1999. she decided to bring Christmas to kids in that poor area, rural area, where she was raised. She made phone calls, gathered funds and food for the event. Gifts and clothing were donated and lots of volunteers helped. Every night at dinner, she used to tell us how things were going and the progress of the event. Among all the volunteers was my mom's cousin, who is a Catholic priest and celebrated and shared the good news of Christ's birth and its meaning. It was in that moment that I noticed how everybody was quiet and paying attention to his words. In that moment, I was struck by the power of the Scriptures and the Holy Spirit. One passage that portrays what I witnessed is James 2:5, which says, "Listen, my beloved brothers and sisters, has not God chosen the poor in the world to be rich in faith and to be heirs of a kingdom that He has a promise to those who love Him?" I realized how their prayers and faith have been heard by God, and He, God, made us the deliverers of His blessings. Blessings such as food for family, clothes for kids that barely have money to buy a flip-flop, attention and hugs for those who were in need of companion, and smiles to remind that God is looking after you. The feeling of joy and mission accomplished has fulfilled and boosted me up to make more and more. This feeling of joy is God saying to you, "I'm proud of you, my son," or "I'm proud of you, my daughter." How many times you have seen people on television doing volunteer's job, and at the end, the interviewer asks, "How do you feel?" And they normally say, "It is priceless." It is priceless here, but you have your reward. Your reward is in God and the assurance of your salvation besides Him in heaven. A brief example, I don't know if you know, if you saw that, but 2 weeks ago, we saw in the news that a 95-year-old man with 14 stitches in his forehead and a black eye was working building houses through the Habitat for Humanity in Nashville, Tennessee. According to this this old man, his injuries happened when he tripped and fell at home while getting ready for church on Saturday. A small parenthesis here. I think that evil working against him, avoiding him to go to church, that's what happens. Despite the injuries, he had the #1 priority in that week: build and improve homes for the people who needs in that area. Do you know who man was that? Young kids, have you seen this news? No? Do you know who was that man?
Was it Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter?
Yes, a former president, Jimmy Carter. Now I ask you, why Mr. Carter still does this work? Is he paid? What are the benefits or who he wants to please? I know one of the answers. Mr. Carter might, what he probably know, might follow one of the scriptures, Ephesians 6:6-9, where it says, "Not only while being watched and in order to please them, the master or the boss, but as a servant of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart. Render service with enthusiasm as to the Lord and not to man or woman, knowing whatever good we do, we will receive the same again from the Lord." Until today, I always have worked more than I have spoken. That's fun. I realized that God gave me opportunity to develop my skills in several areas, so I can be suitable to any problems that may happen in my journey. I'm still learning through with each one of you here. And the reason that I'm here today in this position is because I have been obedient to God and has shown His love through my actions. As in Galatians 6:9 says, "So we must not get tired in doing what is right, For we will reap at harvest time if we do not give up. Talking about harvest time, it is harvest time, right? Yes. So now I ask you, what are your excuses to do your household activity? Why do you keep complaining about daily household work? If you can't accomplish the small daily task, you will never accomplish the big task in your life. Take Miss Carter or any family member as a reference to your life. And I said reference because it is limited. It works now, but might not work in the future. However, always keep in mind that your role model is Jesus Christ. Amen. Please, I would like my pianist to give some background music here now, because it's time for our meditation. Please, I just want you to close your eyes. If you need to adjust your chair, please do it. If you need to stretch, do it. If you need to stand up, just stand up. But I need you to close your eyes. Take a time to think, meditate and talk with God. God is right in front of you. He's right in front of you. Imagine your God, a bright light, a huge man in front of you, or just a friend that sits beside you. And He's ready to listen to you. He's ready to know what are you afraid of. And He will give you directions to accomplish that. Take your time. Talk with Him. He is only yours. Nobody else. Just he wants you to talk with Him. And say, be grateful. Or say, why are you concerned? And bring this to your heart and listen to Him. He will guide you. Father, we are so grateful for all your blessings in our lives. Those blessings are a reward to be faithful to you, O Lord, and I ask you for more. You made me addicted to you due to your righteousness, love, grace, and joy. In every difficult problem, issue that we may face, we will consider nothing but joy, because we know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing. Grant us wisdom and courage to face this coming week, and give us a chance to show you, my Lord, how we trust in you